Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to Ed Madison Podcast Project. Across the table from me here, the desk, I have Jordan Danielsen. Hello, Jordan. How you doing?
Oh, good.
Good. Yeah, thanks for coming over, man. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Jordan, I haven't seen Jordan in actually, we were talking a little bit off camera earlier. I haven't seen him in a long time because he used to, host these open mic nights that we can get into, but so I used to know him a little bit from that and going over there and hanging out and playing music and, with different singer friends of mine. So I thought it'd be good to have him over, and he's a very talented musician. He does this, essentially for a living, right?
Yeah.
And he does a great job. We recorded a few songs prior to this. So like I did earlier in the year with Mike Oshner, where we covered a couple or a few songs, I actually had Jordan do a few originals for me, right? They were all originals, just making sure. Yeah. And they're pretty awesome. I can't wait till you can see it. So before we get into all of that, though, I'm going to pour ourselves. We're going to do a little, when he was over here, he's like, so we can drink some scotch. I'm like, yes, because, he watched a couple and he knows that that's what my drink is. He also drinks tequila, and I thought maybe we could meet somewhere in the middle, an easy sipping kind of Japanese whiskey. So here we go. Suntory, if you would like to sponsor this video and future ones, please hit me up. They won't do it, but that's okay though. While I'm pouring these drinks for us, I'm going to have Jordan kind of do a formal introduction of himself, and you can, say hello and anything you want about yourself. Tell us.
All right. Well, my name is Jordan Danielsen, and I'm an Iowa resident and grew up in Iowa in the Midwest, and I'm kind of a traveling regional musician, kind of northern Illinois, eastern Iowa, and kind of all over Wisconsin, and kind of getting up into the upper Michigan portion up there. So just travel around and play music, and sometimes I get to play original music and play stuff I want to play, and then other times not that I don't want to play the other stuff too, but it's it's all fun. If I just played my original stuff, I'd totally get bored with it anyway. I haven't written enough stuff for me not to be bored with it. So
that's awesome too. And how many CDs have you wrote over the years?
2. I have 2 out.
2 CDs. Okay, that's right. I will remember that now. So 2 CDs he's got, and he performed a couple from those CDs and one not from that CD. Those CDs, correct?
Actually, nothing's that I recorded. It's all new.
Those were all new.
Yeah.
So I knew you were saying at least one of them was one that you were going to record in the future.
Yeah. All of them were going to be on the new album. So.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
Here in Durant, glorious Durant with Jordan. So, okay, musician, couple of CDs. Where did you start? Where did all this start for you? That's what I got to know, because I've never really asked him this ever.
Well, I was in a singing group when I was a kid. When I was 14. It's called Spirit Inc. And it's like a Catholic singing group. And, I just did it just to meet girls pretty much. Like my friend brought me there, and the guitar player was really cute. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? And she loaned me her guitar, and I started playing for that.
Okay.
And it's folk songs, and we all sucked really bad. And it was a lot of fun. And that's where I started writing my own stuff. Got into like Bob Dylan and all that stuff about that time.
Sure.
And wrote my first song with a harmonica and 4 chords, and that was the first thing I ever did. They were sappy teenage songs, but
teen angst,
right? Yeah. And then I played guitar all through high school, and when I was 21, it was really recently, or right after I turned 21, I went to the Beer Stube and asked them if they wanted to do an open mic,
and that's how that happened.
And that's how that started, man. So
which is where I first met him.
We did that for 13 years. And then during that time, we were also doing Sunday nights, and we did numerous open mics. There was Monday night open mics and everything. So that was many years. We did that one, long time. Lots of drunken nights, should I say.
Reminds me of this podcast. A lot of drunken nights. And the funny thing is that, so Jordan, he's a busy man. And because of that, this is the first podcast I've done on a Monday night. They're typically on Friday nights. Mm-hmm. So I really appreciate him still, helping make this happen just on a Monday night instead. So on a school night, we got to get to bed at a certain time, or no, I'm just kidding. By the way, cheers again.
Cheers.
Thanks for coming over.
Let's try this stuff.
Hopefully enjoy it.
See
Keep
how
in mind,
this goes.
this is on the easier side. So I mean,
right.
if you're used to tequila, hopefully you'll be okay with this one. The first couple are the worst. Just
No, it was good.
Yes.
Nice and smooth.
All right, I'll take that. Very good. I guessed right. All right.
All right.
So, started in high school. Was there a high school class? Was there a family member that played guitar? Was there, a musician you saw on TV or heard on the radio that made you say, that'd be a lot of fun?
Nobody in my family played music. I was the only one. I think I asked my parents for a guitar when I was 12, 13, and they said, when your grades got better, we'll get you a guitar. And I'm like, no. They said they'd get me guitar lessons. My stepdad
lessons.
gave me this guitar.
Stepdad, you said, gave you a guitar? Okay, cool.
And I wasn't going to get my grades up, so I just decided to teach myself. So I got one of those posters and just taught myself chords, and just
Nice.
I was off. You know what I mean?
And of course, you didn't know which fingers went, or did it show on the poster which fingers
they
went
have
on?
the
Oh,
one,
it did.
2, 3
Okay.
and everything.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So, yeah, and then from there, I did record another CD when I was 18. There's a whole another CD of stuff, but it's like, if you listen to yourself when you're 18, you sing kind of weird. I did anyway. I had this way that I sang that I kind of outgrew, I think.
Yeah.
So I was trying to have a lower voice than I did at the time, maybe, or something.
You know what it reminds me of? So, we both have, and I don't want to give anything away for kids. I have a 14-year-old, he's starting to get that lower voice. You're trying to force that lower voice out, which is hilarious.
So do I. Yeah.
We
both have a 14-year-old.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is yours like that too? Or he's kind of like acting almost like trying to seem a little bit more masculine maybe? Or you think it is getting to that point naturally?
He's got a little mustache going on.
So it's my 14-year-old. Joey does it, and he sometimes watches these. Yes, he has a mustache. So yeah, that's cool that we have kids that are going through that same kind of time in their life. So I know we're jumping all over the place, but let me jump back really quick. So you said your stepdad did have a guitar, or he was?
It was his guitar from when he was a kid, and he gave it to me, and it was a Kingston, and it's a really cool looking guitar, and I think it was probably, a cheap guitar, but it was from the 60s. So it's really cool. It's got this the hard whammy bar. And it's got on and off switches on it, which was really cool.
Toggles. Huh?
Yeah, it was neat.
Yeah,
and I still have it. It's really a cool guitar. Someday I'm going to actually do something with it. But.
So you still have it?
Yeah.
So the first electric guitar that I ever had was a gift. It was the Squier starter pack.
Nice.
With the little PV Rage 150. 50?
Yeah.
50.
Uh-huh.
The little guy, right? The solid state little guy. And I think they bought it at either Muskie Music in Muscatine, which was later Griggs, or they bought it from Griggs or something like that. But it was just the basic black Affinity Strat. And I stickered the shit out of that thing. And I still have it. It's in the garage out there. It's in a case. But I feel like at some point I want to do a music wall in a garage somewhere, because I have a bunch of posters from when I've played at places over the years that just kind of, do a fun little collage with guitars and posters of places I play. I think it'd be kind of cool. But yeah. So you still have your original though?
I do. And
I still have my first one. That's cool. When did you pick up the acoustic then?
I don't. It was about the same time because they didn't have electric guitar in Spirit. You know what I mean? So it was all acoustic, and I borrowed her guitar, and I don't really think I did anything with that electric guitar until I started doing the acoustic.
Did you learn the chords on the electric though?
Maybe. I don't know. I was talking to my mom not too long ago. I was talking to her about how late I should let my son stay up. You know what I mean? And she's you would always be in there just playing. I'd hear ding, 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 ding on your guitar. 'Cause they were cool. If you want to play guitar in the dark, go for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I totally forgot about that. So it was kind of a cool memory. I'm sitting in my bedroom playing these songs. And I was always memorizing songs too from the time I was really little. These are the tape days when you didn't have lyrics that you could pull up, you had to start, stop. What did he say? what do you say?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And there's a lot of songs that I still like. I got the words wrong, and I still sing them like that. You know what I mean? It's just the way that they're imprinted in my brain.
If the audience doesn't know, it doesn't matter anyway, right? Yeah, only you know. But
Right.
so, what was like the original cover stuff you were just jamming on?
I think I didn't start like playing cover songs at first. It was all like.
When you're saying you're like learning or listening back, though, was that you're listening to yourself? Is that what you're saying? You're like listening back, or you learning other people's music when you're talking?
I was just writing songs at that point.
You were just writing songs.
Like from the very beginning, I was writing songs, and I didn't play anybody else's music for a long time. Like I thought I was like selling out or something if I did. You know what I mean? Like
that's cool.
16-year-old Jordan Danielsen is like, I'm not gonna do that. Plus, I don't. You know, I guess I probably played Metallica licks. You know what I mean? Like
sure.
all of us do. But
yeah, I was wondering. Yeah, so for me, and I appreciate there's different types of people for everything. You know, and for me, I have been openly admitted that I am not an originals guy. I'm not. It's not that I don't appreciate it. I've never been that way.
mm-hmm.
So my stepdad wasn't the reason I started playing guitar or didn't have a guitar he gave to me,
Mm-hmm.
but he was a pretty big influence because he played guitar and he actually knew how to play guitar. So
Cool.
the stuff he played was like Zeppelin, you know, on his old Gibson Les Paul
Mm-hmm.
that he bought second or third or fourth hand, that it was just been rashed to hell. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But it still did a good job. And he would play, besides all the old stuff that he liked growing up, like the Zeppelin stuff he was huge into, right? Could play Stairway to Heaven like it was nobody's business, at least back in the day. I think that's the way it went. And I hope, Bob, I can have you on the podcast someday. He lives in the Quad Cities. So I don't even know if he watches this. But
Hi, Bob.
hi, Bob. It's my mom's ex-husband. So just to clear this up, mom and dad divorced when I was born. She remarried this stepdad,
Mm-hmm.
and now she's married again. But he's a cool guy, though, Bob.
And his name's Bob. That's
No.
my stepdad's name's Bob too.
Oh, was it? Yeah. So
Lots of Bobs.
my current stepdad's name, my mom's new, not that this matters, Mike, though. That's the new husband. And the last husband, of course, Mike and mom. This is getting really awkward. So what I guess I'm trying to say, I don't think they watch this anyway.
Let's bust out the family tree.
So you can see here, get the whiteboard out, right? But he was into it pretty much, the guitar. My dad played, but you know what he did? And I talked about this on the podcast. He just basically get drunk and strum like 3 chords.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened was he had a motorcycle, and my stepmom was like, "You're not going to keep that motorcycle, you know." And he's like, "Fuck it, then I'm going to sell the motorcycle. If you are not going to be cool with this, I'm just going to buy myself a nice Alvarez."
Mm-hmm.
So
Cool.
and he never took real lessons. He got one of the, was it Hal Leonard learning books,
Right.
you know?
Which I wondered to myself, you know, no offense to Hal Leonard, but like,
Yeah.
did anybody ever really learn anything out of those books? Like,
My dad didn't. I
Yeah.
tried to look through it. I didn't do much with it because I ended up having other ways I learned. But
Right.
keep going, though. I know what you're saying by
just
this,
like
right?
the one string at a time. Like, you don't play a guitar like that. Like, do. That's not. Just learn the chords, man.
Exactly.
Learn the
So
notes later on, the singles later on. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly. I don't know if they would want you to do that for like just building dexterity in fingers or something, or you know, the scale stuff. I think maybe you agree with this, maybe you don't. I feel like anything else, generational differences, right?
Mm-hmm.
For me, watching and appreciating like my stepdad play Led Zeppelin, who could actually play well,
Mm-hmm.
right? I thought it was really cool. And that's, I think I did go that direction more, where I was trying to learn more newer stuff that was kind of a little bit more riffy instead of just chords all the time, like my dad would play when he just didn't care very much. But I feel like, I don't know, today, is that lost on everybody? Is there no more of this really, and I know you do original music, but even in like your playing, I'm seeing him, he's doing like little solo leads and, you know, little fill bits and, you know, outros and things like that. You just really don't hear much anymore, it seems like, in music, at least what I'm listening to,
Right.
where there's actual physical guitar in,
Mm-hmm.
not samples all over the place.
Right.
I don't know. It seems kind of weird. So I appreciate, I'm not even letting him talk, but I appreciate him adding the little, you know, the lead stuff in there, not
Thanks.
just the solo, or not just the chord stuff, right?
Yeah, and the thing is like, I think I've done that from the very start.
Have
Like,
you? Yeah.
You know, like when you asked me who actually was my influence and really got me into playing, I think that it actually was this church leader that my mom brought me to. And this is when I was in junior high, before I started playing music. But she would always bring me to her Weight Watchers meetings, like when I was little, and like I hated these Weight Watcher meetings, like, as you can imagine.
I don't even. What would that be like?
Just a little kid sitting there in a room full of ladies talking about diets. You know what I mean?
That's all they did was talk about diets.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, sure.
That's no fun for a kid. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
Well, in the same little strip mall, they had a Christian bookstore, and I would be like, "Mom, can I just go hang out in the bookstore like while you're in there?" And she's like, "That's cool." And they had this little room where you could go in, and they had a Walkman and all the tapes and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's when I started getting into I started listening to these like Christian like heavy metal bands, you know, like White Cross and Mortification and Tourniquet and everything. And they're like,
yeah.
And this is stuff that my mom's gonna let me listen to, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like those guys did not look at all like gospel guys, you know what I mean?
But the lyrics were all right. The lyrics were still
yeah, but it was great. The 90s like Christian heavy metal stuff was pretty good. It was actually like really well done, and I don't know where it's at now, but
so I'll give you a couple of examples that I know of when it comes to modern rock. And again, this is probably past now, but like Skillet is a band. If you've ever heard of Skillet before, maybe if you've heard a couple of the songs, you'd be like, oh yeah, I recognize that maybe a little bit. Red is another one. I'm thinking like hard rock metal stuff that I would like to listen to. There's probably a few others too. Leave in the comments down below if you know. I don't know off the top of my head, and I really don't want to look it up in this very moment unless you want me to.
No, it's all right. It's all right.
So, but I want to keep moving with the story because I always get sidetracked really bad.
No, it's all right.
Especially when I'm drinking. So you're listening to these cassettes, this music in the library up the street. You said, right?
Or just in the library. Strip mall. Yeah.
In the strip mall, right?
And I think that's, I remember I always had my headphones on, you know what I mean? Like I was buying these tapes, and there was this Heaven's Metal magazine that came out every month, and I'd be in there like, can't wait till this comes out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And going back to the church pastor, the church that we were going to, it was Milan Foursquare in Milan, Illinois.
Yep.
And they had a band, and he was a Sunday school teacher, and his name was Jim Hansel. He's actually lives in Davenport. He works on guitars and stuff. But I think that was the time when I really wanted, really learn, man, I want to do that too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah. So that's where that started. I used to be a metalhead back when I was a kid. Now I'm like,
that's cool.
No, I don't have so much aggression anymore. I think that's what happens. It's like I feel like every music has its place.
It does. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, doesn't matter. And like heavy metal, some people don't outgrow it. You know what I mean? But I feel like that's just made for like young teenage kids with a hell of a lot of testosterone. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's like it was like a symphony. I remember talking to my mom and be like, "Listen to this, Mom. This is like amazing. It's like awesome." And it's like,
yeah.
She's like, "Yeah, that's heavy metal.
Yeah,
that's good." You know what I mean? But it was just like amazing to me back then.
No, that's cool. Yeah. And then like people like me, the funny thing is back in the day for me, my metal was new metal based on my age. And I feel like you're somewhat close to my age,
I'm 39.
Right? So, okay, I'm 35.
I mean 26.
Yes, 26. But I guess
I've probably already aged myself talking about tapes.
But you look good though for 39. You really do.
Thank you.
You really don't see any gray hairs?
I pull them.
Man, you sure you got a kid? Kids? One kid?
One kid.
One kid. Yep. Man, I feel like I got more and more gray hairs the past 5 years because of those kids, So
yeah,
I used to pull them, then I gave up.
Yeah,
so fuck it.
I'm not gonna have any left.
But I guess like for me, when I was in like high school and I was just learning guitar, a lot of the bands that I really appreciated around that it'd be late 90s, early 2000s, new metal, hard rock kind of stuff. I mean, you can see it around you in this room. Bands like Deftones, Tool, behind you, A Perfect Circle still, some Hurt, if you've ever heard of them. And of course, like the, Slipknot and all that kind of stuff over here too. So a couple of them are newer, but I've seen so many like live music bands that are along these lines that I just don't have posters for.
Right.
I never got away from it too much. You know what did happen though? Later on in life, I ended up respecting stuff that I would never have listened to back then. And it's going to sound cheesy, but it's all from the same era. So, I mean, never would have admitted before that I like even a single, not pop, rock, alternative rock, like Bush or, there's a bunch of these, the band Live, Bush, I mean, the list really could go on if I could just stop for a moment and think about all of them. If you started saying them, I'd probably recognize them. But so that's the extent of I'm very narrow-minded, and I'm always willing to admit that.
All right.
And I wish I wasn't, but I kind of am. I don't like country, except for Garth Brooks. I don't like.
That's funny, man. Except for Garth
I
Brooks,
know,
which I
right?
feel like he's like the countryest country guy there ever was. You
I
know what
know,
mean?
yeah, for that era, right?
Right.
For that 90s and newer, for me, especially 90s, and then I don't think it was as 2000s much. And then, yeah, I really don't like enjoy pop very much, unless it's like, you know, some select Britney Spears and Backstreet Boys and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He thinks less of me now, but it's okay.
He doesn't like pop, but he likes Backstreet Boys.
Oh,
Hey,
but it's
man,
old stuff, though. You know, it's like I'm coming,
Right.
not the current stuff, right?
Well,
But
anything that brings you back to when you were a kid. I mean, like,
Yeah.
people, there's, you know, you meet an 80-year-old guy, he's going to love the stuff that when he was a kid. You know,
True,
it brings
true.
him back to when he was a kid. You know?
Whether or not he liked it at that time or not, though. What do you think?
You know, he might not have. You know what I mean?
That's my case.
Yeah.
That's what I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
You know, when I hear it, I don't hate it like I used to. I used to block it out and think only, you know, dun, dun, or whatever I like when you're trying to describe the metal.
Right.
You know?
Well, there's really few music that I really don't like. I mean, like, honestly, like, I have a huge spectrum of things that I listen to. And I'm really not a country fan, though, either. But everybody thinks...
My man.
Everybody calls me country. So it's like...
Because your original stuff?
I think it's because where music is today, like, today's country is yesterday's rock. You know what I mean? Like, if you think about it, if Tom Petty came out today, he would be a country artist. You know?
I see what you're saying. So based on what I heard earlier, then that's how
Right.
that gets relatable, then,
Right.
right? And
And-
he's not a knockoff of Tom Petty by any means, but I think I understand what you're saying.
Like
though.
anything with an acoustic guitar, you know what I mean? Like in a harmonica or something, like you're a country artist. And I fight against it too, you know, and people are like, I love it how you did that song, and I love how you put like a country twist to it and everything. And like, I really want to punch him, but on the other hand, but then I'm like, well,
Smile,
they're being
thank
nice
you.
to me. They
Yep.
like what I do.
Possibly
And also-
inebriated?
Yeah, you know, I mean, this is the Midwest, man. Like,
Yeah.
and if you're gonna play in bars, like, you see the reaction that country music gives to people. I mean, people love to sing along, and it's like, I fought against it for so long, but the guy that I play with, his name's Jeff Spradley, and he's a
Sounds
country.
like a country thing.
He's a country guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He likes it, and he plays the songs, and I don't have to listen to the originals. I just hear his covers. So he doesn't
You can
have
deal
the-
with it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I learned the songs, and as soon as he, you know, I could play songs all night, and as soon as he busts out a country song, like, the girls start dancing and singing along, and it's like, well, I do want the girls to sing along and dance, you know what I mean? So we'll learn some country songs too, and
That was nice of you.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, but kind of a musical horror, I guess, you know what I'm saying? You just do what you got to do, and
I appreciate that because I'm kind of a musical horror, especially more in my older years.
Mm-hmm.
Never was like that. I mean, again, I am narrow-minded though still too. It's hard for me to really get across then for me because I guess if I hear it, it doesn't bother me as much now. But I
Mm-hmm.
don't go looking to listen to it a broader range. So I think I'm narrow-minded in that regards.
Mm-hmm.
That when I'm looking to listen to that music when I'm in the vehicle on a long drive for work or something, you know, it's going to be. I'm not going to go to Britney Spears. I'm going to go to like Lamb of God or something instead.
Right.
You know, for a little thrash to kind of pump me up for that afternoon drive. Not that Britney Spears wouldn't pump me up,
right.
but I feel like that's, you know, I don't know. It's hard to describe, but hopefully you get it a little bit.
You know what? Really, the thing is about these songs is like, it's just how the song is produced is what makes
Yeah.
it what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you could take a Britney Spears song and have a guy sing it with a Southern accent and throw a pedal steel on it, and it's a freaking country song. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
Like, you could have what's the one that did the Simon and Garfunkel, like System of the Down or something? Did
Yeah.
that,
Okay.
right? You
Yeah.
know? Everybody thinks that's a System of a Down song now. I'm like, that's a Simon and Garfunkel freaking song, you know what I mean? But now it's a rock song, you know what I mean?
Oh, wait. Are you talking about Sound of Silence or
Yeah,
something like that? That's
yeah.
actually Disturbed.
Disturbed, okay.
Yep. Sorry.
Alright.
I caught that at the end. I thought that's what you may have meant. So,
Yeah.
yep.
I'm not up on my rock genre.
That's
Like, I
okay.
really-
We'll work
That's one
together.
thing that I
We'll
have
work
to
together
say.
on this, all right?
It seems like everybody I listen to are like people that nobody's ever heard of. You know what I mean?
So what are you personally listening to then?
Gregory Alan Isakov. Have you ever heard of him? He's out of Colorado. He's just amazing lyricist. He plays with a banjo player, a stand-up bass player, electric guitar. I saw him in Chicago not too long ago, and just the sound that comes out of these guys, the harmonies, and it's definitely like Americana music. And it seems like everybody that I really listen to are under there, like Nathaniel Ratliff and the Night Sweats. Griffin House is a huge one. Like, love Griffin House. Saw him in St.
I'll look
Louis.
these up later. I mean, it's on video
Yeah.
now, so.
Yeah, just I like good lyrics, something that, and it usually revolves around the acoustic guitar, really. But I love taking pop songs and turn them into acoustic songs.
Yeah.
And that's the neat thing is, like,
I do too.
in that vein that I was just talking about, it just doesn't matter. Like, to take a song and turn it into my own thing
Sure.
is always fun, and it
Yep.
catches people by surprise. And you just pick those certain songs that, like, oh, I haven't heard this song in a long time, and it's different. It's weird, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's
And
what I strive for when I'm playing live, is just to pick the right songs.
Fun surprises for everyone.
Right.
And you know what? If you're, he's got a great voice and you'll hear it in the recordings, but sometimes you hear stuff, you're like, man, it sounds better. That version acoustic style with that voice instead.
Right.
I've heard some YouTube covers that have just been outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They're kind of a mainstream outfit, but the Boyce Avenue guys, have you ever seen their covers before? I know you're not a cover guy, but they're, I think they're from Mexico, but they sing in English and they do amazing covers of songs that I wouldn't normally like and never heard of before. But then I hear them, I'm like, holy cow. It's like that surprise you're talking about, right?
Right.
That you do your own version of it. And
Right. And I'd actually like to put out an album of cover songs, to be honest. I mean, like,
You should.
I think that's a great way for people to find you too. I mean, today, making money off of these CDs and making money off this music is really hard to do.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's like, even the big guys, they're making more money than I am off of their recordings, but they're really living off of the road. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, just
Merch sales, right? Is that
Yeah.
what you're saying? Ticket sales, merch sales?
Yep, merch
Okay.
sales, ticket sales, but so it's kind of like more. I think in the future, I'm just gonna try to release singles more, or EPs. You put out an album full of 12 songs. Most people are gonna like 2 or 3 songs. They're gonna pop out. But if you give somebody an album of 3 songs, they're probably gonna listen to it over and over again, and those songs are gonna get stuck in their head. And then they're going to request them at shows. And then I'm playing less of those cover songs and playing more of what I want to, because people want to hear what they know.
Yep.
And that's the whole thing. You just got to get them to know what you write. You know what I mean? And that's the trick,
I think in today's day and age too, with all this streaming and not as much, I'm not going to lie, man. I'm like, I haven't bought a CD in a long time. I stream everything, which is, some
I
people
don't
may not
buy
like
CDs.
that.
Yeah.
I don't either. And I think, the last CD I bought, God, I don't even remember at this point. Oh, I think I remember. Remember we were talking about Garth Brooks earlier? He doesn't stream any of his stuff. And he released that double album greatest hits. And you can only buy it at like Walmart.
Oh, okay. Well, you're going to go to Walmart sooner. that was a good thought. He's like, everybody goes to Walmart.
And everybody loves him some Garth, right? Well, not everybody. And, so I totally bought that double album. Yeah. I did.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is, I know that these CDs are going out, but I did just buy 1,000 more of my CD because I put a lot of work in the artwork. You know what I mean? It's just like, I'm probably not ever going to have to buy 1,000 more of these things, but I'm going to do it. Damn it!
Good for you. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
So I have to look at the artwork again. I feel like I remember seeing the album cover to one of them at least. And it's just you on it. The album cover. That I'm
that's
thinking
the
of?
first one.
That's
and then
the
second
first one.
There's
Okay.
Yep. And trying to think of the guy that does all my art. Ed. It's Ed.
Another Ed.
Another Ed.
It's a good name.
I'm sorry, Ed.
Good name.
I'm bad with names.
How about we'll put it in the link down below.
Ed Wilson. There it is. Ed Wilson.
Never mind. We
He's
don't need to put it in
amazing.
the description.
Yeah.
It's gonna. There you go. Ed Wilson. Is he in the Quad Cities?
He used to be in the Quad Cities. Now he's traveling all over the place, and he's awesome photographer. Everything that he's done. So check out Ed Wilson photography, art, and then check out my CD cover. Listen to my CD. It's good stuff.
Definitely will link those down below. And I'm going to put, as long as he's cool with it, I'm going to put links down there for all of his socials where you can buy his music. Also in the videos of him playing too, all that'll be definitely on there as well. So with your permission, of course.
Yeah, and we'll put my address and my social security number and
Mother's maiden name, all that kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah,
Last two addresses, we'll figure it out. So
please steal my identity.
You know what? I just had a random thought. Never would have thought about it until right now. So I have a intro on every Ed Madison podcast project video from a random gentleman in the Illinois side of the Quad Cities. I basically put in a Facebook group a long time ago, hey, I just need a little clip that I can use for, you know, my podcast, and it's used in the intro. And I can't remember, I should know the guy's name, for Christ's sake, because he loaned out the music to, or he doesn't care that I use it. If you wanted to, could you come up with a 10-second intro, and it doesn't even have to be vocals, but just something that fills that air as the intro portion, or like the, you know, the little animation fires up.
Sure.
Would you be interested in doing something like that?
That'd be fun.
Would you like? I mean,
I have
I'll
something
pay
in
you
mind
if
right
you
now.
want me to. You know.
Oh, I'm expensive. Yeah.
Whoa, maybe this won't work.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'd love to. That'd be great.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
And then in the description of every podcast, it's been a link to his CDs if they wanted to buy it and stuff.
Okay.
So
Sweet.
I feel like it's Andy something. Either way, I appreciate him, you know, letting me use that music, but I only heard from him like that time he said it was cool, and then I haven't really heard anything back from him. So I don't know if it actually worked and paid him out any money on CD sales, or
Right.
I don't know.
You never know.
I don't have a huge audience. It's just like you've seen a couple, my oldest
Mm-hmm.
kid's seen a couple, and I think that's about it. So we're just talking to nobody.
Well, it's gonna blow up pretty soon.
I've got like 271 subscribers so far.
Yeah, awesome.
I think it's.
Yeah.
I haven't checked lately, but it's something like that. So the joke is, you know, I keep hinting at, like, you know, if anybody wants to, you know, do a little endorsement in here, all these not vodka, but Scotch companies. Nobody's got back to me.
The Scotch definitely makes it better, I think. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, man, they're drinking. I could be on this show.
welcome then, and I'm glad you're at home. I am really glad you enjoy this. So, not to jump too far off our conversation, I always like to educate a little bit.
Okay.
So Suntory is a Japanese company, obviously based on this label here, but they actually do the way they make their whiskey is basically a spitting image of how the Scots, or how Scotch is made, almost identically. Okay. The only difference between the Scotch and the Japanese is the laws that require certain things to happen before it's sold, right? It's got to be barreled a certain way, a certain amount of age in one country where it doesn't in the other one. So this has no age statement, and it doesn't have very strong notes of anything. It's very easy. I don't know. Do you feel like it's easily drinkable?
Yeah.
Where a lot of this
seems to be going down pretty good.
Good. Because I want to be done with this tonight. Okay, this bottle. So basically, where the Scotch, a lot of the Scotch that I have, it can be seasoned in a certain sherry cask that's going to give it a certain additional flavor. And so the nice thing is, if I can get him back on another podcast, we'll do another Scotch next time. You know, I'll bust open another one too. So yeah.
So whiskey for me is like that first time, you know, when you got really wasted. And so that's why I like whiskeys. Like, I'm starting to come around though, but that was quite a while ago.
Yeah.
But me and my buddy, I remember we got like a bottle of Jim Beam, and like
bourbon, yeah.
And we got the remember the little jiggers, like the jigger shots. It's like they have the chaser in the bottom and the thing at the top, and you just do it. And we drank that whole bottle in like 2 hours, maybe.
I'm gonna look it up. Keep talking about it.
So this is why whiskey has not been my drink for quite a few years, but tequila, I blame Mr. Dustin Cobb for my tequila habit. Just
Dustin Cobb,
shout out to Dustin Cobb.
Oh, that's cool. I'm gonna look this up because it kind of sounds familiar. Was there something?
It might
else?
not even be called that. I mean, completely honest, it just.
Was there another product that basically allowed for that? Was it tequila that had? I'm thinking of something else. Jigger drink. Was it bourbon? You said. Jim Beam.
Yep.
Jim Beam Jigger.
But it was my buddy. He had it sitting laying around. I don't know if it came with I doubt it came with the Jim Beam.
Okay, yeah. Let's take
Yeah,
a
it
look.
looked kind of like that. The one.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it up there on the. There we go. All right, so we're looking at which one up here?
I think the one all the way over to the right.
The black, where it says black on it.
OXO stainless steel double.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it's like the chaser was in the bottom and the liquor was in the top. So it was just like a quick, just went down.
It just down smooth, right? Yeah. Interesting. My
I know I ended up in the yard and
ended up in the yard.
threw up, passed out, woke up, walked 10 feet, threw up, passed out, walked, it kept till I finally made it to the car. Of course, I shouldn't have been. And I think I stopped and threw up every once in a while on the way home. So it's like,
man.
So whiskey took a long time to get back into after that.
Okay. I mean, I understand. So hopefully, and without, I know I'm not talking to the mic here. That's my bad. So I'm struggling here. My reception is acting up. I guess what I wanted to say was this is not bourbon. So the difference between this and a bourbon is that how it's made. So it's a corn mash with bourbon. So it's made with corn essentially, where a Scotch is made with barley. So I guess what's a relatable way to say that then? So corn. What else is made with corn? Vodkas and ryes also are made with corn.
Salsa's been with
I
corn.
love salsa, by the way. But I think I've always found with myself and with friends that have had this Scotch or Japanese whiskey, because it's made with barley too, don't have any hangovers. There's really, unless you drink, more, half a bottle or more,
Right.
you're not going to get to the point where it's going to make you throw up.
Cool.
Which is really cool because it allows for you to sit, sip, get a good buzz, and not hate yourself the next day.
Good.
Yeah. Here's the problem at bars, though, and you will know this if you looked before. Bars don't stock good whiskey. It's like Jameson for Irish. It's like Jim Beam, right? Or what's another one? Maker's Mark for bourbon, maybe? I don't know. What do you usually see out there?
See, I don't even look.
You don't even look.
I just
All right.
say, give me some tequila. And they're like, what kind? I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Just give me some tequila. And they bring me tequila. I say, oh, tequila. I drink it. And then I play another song.
Do you garnish at all?
Do I what?
Garnish like a lime or anything like that? You don't?
I don't.
That's okay. I'm just curious.
Just shoot it.
Just shoot it.
Except I have found lime tequila now, which is just like the perfect sipping tequila.
Is it lime flavored tequila?
It's like lime flavored. And got me a bottle tonight. It was
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I like tequila, and I almost caved and got tequila for this, but I wanted to at least have you try something new, right? So, but I'm glad you tried this. So I know I got way off topic, and I know my computer was acting up for some reason. It wasn't wanting to tell me what's going on here. Oh, there's an error. There's an issue. It says.
Are we still recording?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
This is all still recording. Yeah. The cameras and the audio of me bumbling around is all caught right now. So I was just trying to get this to work so we can actually see what was on the computer. I don't know why it was struggling. Anyway, so getting back to, I'm going to try to jump back. See, I jump around. I do this.
It's okay.
It's awful, right? Yeah. So high school, you've done a good job of painting the picture of when you got started. It's not something, that you were writing originals. You had an electric guitar. You didn't really play it, so you got into the acoustic, and then you were really taking off on that. You were writing music at a young age. So at that point, 21 years, you said you came around, you went to the Beer Stube. 21?
Yep.
Jumped on in, did a open mic night, which is where I met him, by the way, which is so cool. And then, back in the day, I was trying to explain to him earlier, and for some reason, my setup is acting up, which is embarrassing. But what I was going to try to show him is that I still have video somewhere. Of when I played at the Beer Stew. I'm just going to close all that down for a second. And I think restart the computer because it is acting all kinds of weird on me right now. Okay. Sorry for the awkward pause, everybody. So back a long time ago when he worked at the Beer Stew, or not worked, I shouldn't say work, right?
You can say whatever you want.
He was at the beer soup run.
It
the
was
open
work
mic night.
sometimes.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
The people, I can only imagine. Like me, the assholes like me coming in there.
No, actually, to be honest, like that never felt like work until
Didn't?
the very end.
Okay.
Like it was always like I get to go to the beer stoop tonight and like party with all my friends.
That's
you know
cool,
what I mean?
man.
And then, but a lot of it was the bartender who was everybody's friend. And like it takes not only good musicians, but it takes a good bartender to
Sure.
make an open mic work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he gave away a lot of drinks.
Oh, that helped.
So
Then.
that helped. And then they caught on to that, I think. And then they got like they got another bartender in there that sucked, and then everybody left, and then it was like, oh man, this isn't fun anymore. You know what I mean? And that was towards the end of the
How long did you do? 13 years.
13 years.
Jesus,
Yeah.
man. 13 years is a long time.
Yeah, it is.
What did that feel like the day that you left that? You knew it was the last one.
I was pissed off because they were paying me good the whole time. I shouldn't even be talking about this, but then they're like, we'll give you $50, and I'm like, I'm never gonna do this for $50. See you later, thank you. And then we went down 11th Street, and it didn't work out as well.
But you did line that up right away.
I did.
Yep, that's good.
Yep.
Good.
So
And then how long did you do that at the precinct?
I think maybe 3 years, but it was tough. Like people stopped coming out, and it just wasn't the same anymore. And that's
Sure.
when I decided that I would rather just go out and play gigs.
Full time, just
yeah,
do gigs. Because you were still playing gigs at that time, though, right? It wasn't just the open mic night, right?
Well, when I was, I think, 25, it was about when I was 25. It was right when I got married. There was this guy named Mario that came down to the open mic, and he worked up at Eagle Ridge up in Galena.
The one you were talking about earlier
Yep.
that moved to Dakota?
Yeah,
Or no?
South Dakota or
South
somewhere.
Dakota, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. I don't even know what this guy's name is. I think it was Marlon Brando. I don't know what his name was. But he's like,
Yeah.
hey, I've got this gig up here. I'm going to be moving. Come on up to Galena. I'd never been to Galena at that point in time.
Yep.
And, I went up there. It's beautiful in Galena, Illinois. And I sat in. It was just at a country club. Michael Jordan had a house up there. Oprah had a house up there. You know what I mean?
Shit.
I never saw any of these people, but that's just that area up there. I mean, even
I
when
didn't know
they
that.
did
That's
like
cool.
Field of Dreams, I found out that like Kevin Costner stayed at Eagle Ridge and like
Drove over there, huh?
Yep, all the people.
Where was that again? Was it Dyersville, Iowa?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still haven't made it to Field of Dreams. I might do that this year. I might go and get in the corn and I'm melting.
Somebody recently talked about Field of Dreams. I saw some random clip. Some actor or something's like, yeah. Oh no, it was a comedian. I think it was Theo Vaughn. Said that he made a stop out there. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if you know who Theo Vaughn is or not.
I have no clue who Theo Vaughn is.
It's okay. He's a pretty funny guy from Louisiana, but
Yeah.
rocks a mullet.
See?
Yeah. Anyway, so
You gotta be secure to rock a mullet. You know what I mean?
giving shout outs to Iowa for like Field of Dreams. I feel like it was Dyersville is where
Yeah,
it was.
I
But
think so too. Something like that. But
Yeah.
anyways, it worked out really well, and I ended up playing there every Friday and Saturday night for 5 years. And during that time, my repertoire, my cover repertoire, got a lot bigger.
Oh,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? Just playing every Friday and Saturday. Plus, at that time, I was playing the open mics too. So I was doing Tuesday night, Friday and Saturday in Galena, and then I was doing Sunday night open mic. And at that point in time, I'm like,
jeez,
I was mowing yards, I think, and I'm like, I'm making more money playing music, and that's when I decided to quit my job. And that was, my job at that point in time was like 5 hours a week. It was like you could go in and mow whenever you want, and then they had a Donkey Kong thing there in the shop, and sometimes I would just go play Donkey Kong.
Nice.
But,
the original Donkey Kong, right?
Yeah,
It was like an arcade.
the
game.
arcade game.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
But at that time, I quit my job, and I haven't had a job since, and that was 10, 15 years ago. So it's pretty cool, man. I mean, I've learned how to I've raised a family doing it, and
Yeah.
So
That's the thing is too. I've had a lot of people, like I have a 14 and 11-year-old. I have
Mhm.
primary custody of them, so they're basically around almost all the time to some
Mhm.
degree. So they ask how you make it work. You can make it work, if you have a good support system
yeah.
and an understanding family. You can
Mhm.
really chase some good hobbies too at the same time.
Yeah.
So I've been very fortunate in that regards.
Yeah.
I really
And
have.
I wouldn't be able to do anything that I do without my mom, because just like you, I have, I have sole custody of my son, and I have since he was 3.
Nice.
And so she lives a block away. She helps me,
Cool.
whenever I play, she's got my son, and she rearranges her life, for it.
Oh, that's
So
cool, man.
it's pretty cool. So
Nice.
if it wasn't for Mom, I'd be probably working at Hy-Vee or something, or,
Thanks, Mom.
Thank you, Mom. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't even be here. So
Nice. Yeah. Well, I guess, at the same time, I probably may have met you if you were doing the open mic though still.
Mhm.
Yeah. But now you're like traveling, like you said, and you're going as high as the Upper Peninsula, you said, UP?
Yep. Here in next week, actually, I'm going.
It's crazy. So how many hours is that?
It's an 8-hour drive, but
Oh, no. Okay.
yeah, it's not bad.
That's still nothing to sneeze at or anything. I'm just saying. Yeah. I just didn't realize how long it would it take to get up there.
Well, the cool thing is I have like Monday through Wednesday off, and that's my gigs on Thursday.
Yeah.
And they're paying for the hotel room. So my son's coming with me on this tour, and
Cool.
it's
summer. Why not?
Yep. And it's really working out well. He loves to stay in the hotel rooms, and he loves to just hang and ride along. And
What does he do? Video games?
Video games, YouTube. He wants to be a YouTube star.
Sounds just like my kids, both my kids. Video games
Yeah.
and YouTube all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know if they want to be a YouTube star. More power to them if they want. So what does he want to do? What's the YouTube thing?
He wants to be a YouTube star, and I don't think he's got a plan yet. But that's what he wants to do. And it's like, if I told somebody when I was 14, I'm going to be a rock star, they would have crushed my dreams. Yeah, right. Okay, get a job, boy. You know what I mean? But,
Yeah. Well, I don't know if your 14-year-old's like my kids, but I tried to get them on instruments.
Mm-hmm.
It just didn't work. I think these kids today, it's like they want a quick fix.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to sit and like learn and practice something and get better at it unless it's a video game or that's just what my observation is. Is yours the same?
Yeah, he's not interested, but he's heard me play and everything since he was just a little kid. And it's just always been what Dad does. You can't make him do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I played music because this is what I want to do, and you don't want me to do it, and I'm going to do it. And so it's going to be his own thing. You can't make him be you. You know what I mean? So,
you really can't. I know. And I got the bass on the second from the far left over here. Got it from my oldest to give it a try too. The drum kit, that's not the first drum kit I've had. I got my youngest a little Alesis, just a little where you open-handedly sit, the snares right in the middle, and then you kind of just a little compact kit. But then they only wanted to play it when they were grounded from video games. So if they had video games at their disposal, that was always the primary. So
that's the same way. My kid's very artistic when he's grounded.
So for me, it's hard for me to judge completely though, because the thing is that I'm a gamer for life. So if you look over there behind the pedal board case and the camera bag, it's hard to see. PlayStations are on the left. On the right, you can see all the Nintendo systems. I've got more systems and stuff down below in the closet behind you, and I still play PlayStation 4, on occasion. So I get it, man. I just wish that there would be a desire to pick up something else, but you can't force them, like you said, right?
Well, I've just decided that I'm just going to give him as much experience as I possibly can. I brought him to Chicago not too long ago. Neither one of us are baseball fans. Somebody gave us some free tickets to the Cubs game.
Yeah.
We went to the Cubs game. We stayed for 2 innings. And we're like, I looked at him. I'm like, you want to go? He's like, yeah, let's go. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. But I brought him to the Shawn Mendes concert. It was his first concert.
Yeah.
10,000 screaming teenage girls in mini skirts.
You probably like that, right? He's like, at that point, you're like, maybe music is worth getting into. I mean, I'm not saying I started playing guitar because of the ladies, which I have admitted to in the past. So it just kind of happened that way,
Yeah.
Right.
But I was talking to him, look at all these, the light show was amazing there. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I can only imagine.
And just the sound, I pointed out the soundboard. I'm like, what about if you were into doing lights for something? You know what I mean? Or doing sound
engineer,
or I've kind of got building a thing like you know what I mean? And it's well, I could give him this whole YouTube experience. We could do a podcast I might want to edit it a little bit. He has his own little thing, and one day He's up there like spinning hangers. I'm like, dude, you should take those down. Internet is forever, Dylan. You know?
Yeah, exactly. They're gonna know, right? Yeah.
But he's gonna learn. You know what I mean? And he's getting it, and it's cool to see a kid growing up. And
I think it's cool too. And the case of my 14, 11-year-old, I'd like for them to do whatever they want. But if they want to pick up an instrument, they're all here if you ever change your mind.
Right. Yeah, he has everything at his disposal.
Yeah, exactly. So
he can play Ode to Joy on the piano, and when people are over, he likes to show them that
does he? That's
he
awesome.
plays Ode to Joy. So you never know. There's hope. There's still a little bit of hope.
If I didn't tell you earlier, I took high school guitar lessons.
Mm-hmm.
That's really how I got started. The thing was that it was half piano, half guitar, and I ran with guitar and left piano behind. But now I'm kicking myself in my older years, wishing that I would have picked up more piano as well, because they're so closely related in some aspects, for notes and things like that, because I don't have a piano or keyboard. I did at one point, but it was junk, so I pitched it in between moving houses. I would totally like to get like a nice keyboard at some point. The problem is I'm running out of room, and I'm trying to be, like I told you earlier, trying to restrict myself from having more room to put, more stuff in this house that I don't necessarily need, but I would like to have.
You're going to get it sooner or later. You know how that is.
Well,
I tell myself I'm never going to buy another guitar.
Right, yeah.
Guitars are like children, though. Like, you really have to support these guitars, and you have to play them because they die. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You can bring them back to life if you play them, but like if you pick up a guitar that you haven't played in 3 years, like it just sounds like shit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It just like, it's dying, just wanting some vibrations in it. You know what I mean? It needs to be played. They need to be restrung. They need to be like kept humidified. They need your attention.
They do. And speaking of guitars, is it worth the shout out? Is that like public yet on what you told me
Yes,
earlier?
it is. By the way, Breed Love Guitars, you'll see in my songs that we recorded. I'm a big fan of the Breed Love guitars and basses. So check it out. Thank you so much. I'm endorsed by them.
That's awesome. Yeah, he told me that earlier. I was so excited 'cause when he brought in his guitar case earlier, I didn't know which guitar it was. 'Cause I've seen you play a couple of different ones over the years. And when he pulled out the Breed Love, I recognized it because I remember he played it back in the day too. I'm like, holy cow, how long have you had this? Right? Is that what I asked? And he said, how long was it again?
I don't like. I was telling you earlier. I have no recollection of time.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like,
but then he drops, no big deal. Me and Breed Love, we're like this now. I'm like, nice. Yeah. So that's really exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be, especially like a musician, because you are a musician. You're not just a part-time weekend warrior. I mean, that's got to be a huge reward.
It is
for lots of hours and miles driven and.
Yeah, and anything is just like, I mean, nothing's ever like enough, and you're like, and when you're, it's like, I got on the news, you know what I mean, but I didn't get to see it. I mean,
you were on the news?
Quite a few times, you know what I mean, like here and there, you know what I mean, or it's like you get on the news, I didn't get to see it, who saw it, you know what I mean? It's just like little things here and there that come along, and it's like, it's just the compilation of experiences that you get to do that like really make the whole experience, you know what I mean? It's like, I've written some songs that I really liked, and I put out albums, but it's like, now that I'm 40, I feel like they're actually building up the good ones, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, wow, I have written a lot of songs that like I still like. If you still play them 10 years after you write them, that they're good songs.
They got to be good songs, right?
Yeah.
They have to be. If they stick with you and you're used to all these other songs you're playing, but those especially, oh yeah, for sure. Man, Breed Love. Jeez. So what's next then? I mean, what is the next thing for you as a musician? Like, what is your future, your goals, right? Like is it just to continuously gig and enjoy life as a musician here and do some music at home, or what do you want to do next?
Well, for the next 4 years, I'm going to be raising, a teenager. So I have to do that. And at this point in time, I'm a single guy with a kid, and I really don't have anything holding me back. So it's really nice. And it's, so I'm trying to figure out, should I travel with him quite a bit, you know what I mean, and play. And I think that he's probably going to be doing a lot of that. And really, I just want to travel and play music in different places and just keep doing what I'm doing, and it keeps building every year. So just putting out albums, and I really don't have anything else going on, man. Just
Can I ask you this? What is, like, in your mind, what is the coolest place you've ever gigged at before? The biggest show, the biggest gig for you, it happened to be here, or it happened to be for this event, or it happened to be, you know, what was that I'll never forget show? If you had a name, and, you know, I know you said you're like trying to remember time and, you know, how long things ago or things were ago, but if you could think of anything, right? What was that one show that was always like, oh yeah, that was a lot of fun?
I don't know, man. I mean, I got to open up for G Love and Special Sauce.
Oh yeah,
which was really cool.
Where was that at?
That was at the Redstone Room, and I got that gig because my best friend was the bartender, and I'm like, man, you got to get me this opening spot because, like, I love G Love and Special Sauce from the time I was like 14 years old. You know what I mean? And I carried their shit in, and I thought it was the greatest thing ever. You know, I'm like, this is G Love's guitar. This is awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I got to open for them, so that was pretty cool.
That is cool.
I really don't remember the show. You know what I mean? That was long, just another show, but that was a cool experience.
Sure.
I got to do like River Roots live with the full band, and then we did Street Fest. We headlined that one time. That was cool. I think actually there's just so many gigs, man. I don't know. They're all fun.
Yeah, kind of bleed into each other almost because they're so fun, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's just been thousands and thousands of gigs, and like people just, how did you get, you know, to where you are? And it's just like, just keep playing gigs. I mean, there's at least 250 a year. You know what I mean?
That's a lot. It's a lot of miles too, right?
It
so
is.
This is going to sound like maybe a trickier question then. There's a lot of solo acoustic acts that are out there today. And as a lot of you know, I was that like last year and a half ago or whatever. So I did that on a regular basis, right? I had a decent amount. I didn't do it like, you know, 3 times a week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday or anything, but I did it like a few times a month, which for me, that was plenty, right? Who do you see out there that's really making strides, doing something unique maybe that nobody else is doing? Because let's face it, there could be a lot of the same out there, right? You're unique in a way that you have a history of original music and, you know, playing at a lot of places, opening for bands and stuff like that too, that you mentioned earlier. Can you name anybody that you think deserves more credit for what they're doing and what they're trying to get done out there?
Like local people?
Yeah, in the Quad Cities,
people?
yeah. Or do
Lewis,
you follow that much?
Lewis Knutson. I have a lot of respect for him. Like,
don't know him.
I got, you know, I sat down with him one night after a gig. He was playing down the street, and he's like, I've wrote a song a week for the last year. You know what I mean? Like,
that's what he said?
Yeah. And he's been doing that, and he's really looking, and he's really trying to get, you know, his original songs to do something with them and get them licensed and have people play them. So like, that's what all of us people need to be doing. You know what I mean? Like, I really shouldn't be slinging cover songs at bars at night. You know what I mean? I should be pushing that stuff as much as I can. So like, I have a lot of respect for that. And
sure,
he's doing the same thing. He's playing these same circuit, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
it's you can't give up to that whole, like, I'm just a guy in a bar thing. You gotta like keep pushing forward no matter what you do. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, even if you're just in a normal job, it's just the same as like, I need to keep pushing up. I need to be the big wig, you know what I mean, or something.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely got to be up there in the top tier and the experience, and people have been doing it for so long now. So when I think of other people that have done this for a while and that do a really, you know, decent job that I haven't seen in a while, like Carl Beatty. I don't know if he's still around or not.
Yep.
So I haven't seen him for a while. He's more than welcome to be on the podcast. But I remember back in the day, Jordan, is that if it wasn't at your open mic, you know, we would hit like Danview with Carl down on the river or something like that, you know, or Kilkenny's. Did he do one up there? Or maybe it was just his solo stuff up there. I can't remember if it was an open mic night or not. But yeah, and I mean, I bought a few things from him at Guitar Center back in the day too, you know, when he worked there. So yeah, do you ever have any I guess, do you have any dreams? Did you ever have any dreams to play work at a Guitar Center or Griggs? Or, I think of like the Mark Waglers of the world at Griggs, or who's been in countless bands, cover and original. And I don't know if you know who Mark Wagler is or
I
not.
do. Yep.
Yep. So
he's a good guy.
yeah, actually know him really well. I took guitar lessons from him before, back in the day in my younger years. And also the first time I played live in an electric band, we opened for one of his old original bands, I feel like, or maybe it was a cover band, like years ago. So I know Mark really well. But
Cool.
Did you ever want to do that? Like besides mowing grass, right? Did you ever want to just work at a music store?
Man, like when I did work at a Borders one time. So
Bookstore?
I was in the music department,
Go on.
actually. And I hated every second of it. Like, I went up, I lived in Eau Claire, Wisconsin when I was 20. Because, my stepdad was sick of me and all of my crap. So he kicked me out. He's like, you got to go live on your own. You're 20. Which is great. You know what I mean? Like,
Family was in Eau Claire?
It sucked at the time.
Yeah.
But my aunt and uncle lived up there, and they took me in, and I came up and lived with them. And at the time, I was dating a girl in Davenport. I was like, and she ended up being my wife later on. But
when you got married. Yeah.
But it was really tough, being up there and being 20, and you're like, can't drink. There was a really cool street, Water Street, down there, and it's a college town. There's all these good-looking ladies, and they're all down there having fun, and I'm like alone, and I don't have you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I wrote some good, like, sad songs during that time. But anyways, getting back to, I worked at Borders, and I hated it with a passion, and I didn't ever want to do another corporate kind of thing again, ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
So to answer your question, no, I never wanted to work at a music store.
For that reason, okay, no corporate stuff. I get it. That's cool though. I know some of these guys do it in the area. I didn't even mention some of the other ones that have, because there's a few other guys that have worked probably at music around the past too. Like another person, I think of off the top of my head that we talked about earlier, or I don't know who else is. I feel like that's kind of a thing, but that's cool. That music's your passion, so you want to.
Well,
nothing against it.
Nothing against it
either
at
way,
all,
right? So you don't want to do it, or you do. I always thought, this is going to seem weird. This is not a complete plug, but I felt like if I ever won the lottery and could move to Indiana, I would totally work at Sweetwater.
I just want to say that I get a lot of my stuff from Sweetwater.
Me too.
I do, and the coolest thing about Sweetwater is you have your own guy.
You
that
do.
Knows you.
Dennis.
He's my friend, Scott.
Dennis Konecki.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
My man over there in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Yeah.
Yes.
They actually have gigs there, and I've thought about. I talked to him. I'm like, I buy a lot of stuff. I didn't say this, but I'm like, you know that I buy a lot of stuff from you. Get me a gig in Indiana, and I'm going to come to Indiana and play. So it might happen sooner or later. But
Can I share a couple of stories with you about,
Sure.
since I know you buy there too?
Yeah.
We are not plugging for Sweetwater, but please, Dennis Konecki, talk to anybody. Get us, or your guy, whatever. You can get, if you, or you want to get me a little, endorsement. I'll wear this shirt every single show.
I want one of those shirts. That's nice.
It was only like $10.
$10, everybody.
Shit, $10.
Yeah.
Go to the website. Tell Dennis or Scott.
Yep.
That we sent you. All right. Anyway, so my tailor, or Brand X, since this is sponsored by Breedlove now, Brand X guitar that I bought over at Sweetwater. I was at my meetings in Detroit one time, corporate headquarters for McDonald's. It's a joke. Anyway, ongoing joke. I don't know if you caught that or not.
No.
Okay.
I wasn't listening.
All right, perfect. In the other podcasts, I say I work for McDonald's.
Cool.
So, but I work for a major automotive manufacturer. So on the way back from Detroit one time, I'm like, you know what? Fort Wayne's kind of on the way. It's kind of on the way instead of,
Right.
So I stopped down and I was ready for a new acoustic.
Yeah.
My 414 CE that I bought from Carl Beatty years ago at Guitar Center. I mean, I gigged with that forever. Played open mic nights with you, at your open mic nights and Carl's open mic nights forever. Made my money back and then some on that guitar, right? With actual gigs.
Right.
And then I'm like, all right, it's time for a new tailor. So I've been looking at these 814s, the revoiced ones at the time, where they redid the bracing on the inside of the guitar and everything like that. And I just wanted to try one. Because, when you watch YouTube videos I don't know if you do this when you're researching gear, right? You're watching all these videos because you know you're going to buy it from Sweetwater or someplace that isn't actually where you can go easily check it out. Drove down, stopped into Sweetwater. It was so cool. Dennis was there, got to meet my guy, right?
Yeah.
The guy that I had spent thousands and thousands of dollars with and, every year with. And, man, he went out to the warehouse and grabbed like 3 different ones.
Yeah. Cool. I'm going to have to go there one of these days.
Brought him into the acoustic room there, which is not as big as you would expect. But the thing is Sweetwater is mostly a massive mother effing warehouse, right? Of where they're constantly shipping out items, but brought him into their very nice acoustic room. I got to try him out. I got to try the difference between the Koa K14, I think it was, which I was originally thinking I wanted. Then I tried the 814 back to back. Koa, by the way, if you're shopping, it does not sound as good as you would expect it to, because apparently Koa is like, it sounds better over time. Initially, though, it does not touch because of the bracing, the newer bracing styles of the Taylors, which they may have changed to, but no competition. So I bought that 814. Love it. And so that was the one time that I stopped there and bought something, an expensive purchase on the way back from Detroit, and I got to meet my guy, Dennis.
Awesome.
It was so cool because you talk to somebody so much over the phone or through emails and stuff, and then you get to see him. You totally got to go. And another thing, just to round off the story, is that my friend Barry Lefevre, shout out Barry if you ever want to be on. I've talked to you about this. He wanted to go to Gear Fest this year, which was actually last weekend or 2 weekends ago, where they have their annual thing, where they have a big event where they have all kinds of musicians come in and big acts and clinics, and it's just a big fun 2-day event. And I would love to go to that. Have you heard of this Gear Fest yet? You got to check it out because I know you'd really appreciate it. If you're going to go, and if I go back, that's the time you need to go.
Okay.
Their yearly thing. It's just a big party, and they're giving away thousands and thousands of dollars of free gear every day, just for being there. It's so
Sweet.
cool. Yeah. So
I like free gear.
who doesn't like free gear? So Sweetwater, you're pretty cool.
Excuse me. Every time I do that, it's like loud as shit.
Don't worry about it. It's okay. I can edit that out in post. What do you want me to put in there instead of that?
I don't know, maybe like a chicken or something.
Done. I mean, I've done that post work match before. Just so you understand, I've never edited out any podcast.
No.
Straight from the front to beginning. There's no cuts, no leaving anything out. The only thing one time, and I mentioned this before, is that I had to bleep out a cuss word because the gentleman that was on, he has a young daughter, and he said, just in case she sees it, I want to make sure there's no cuss words. So I bleeped out like the only cuss word in the podcast.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have the power. So Sweetwater, good to know. We share that.
Yeah.
Yep. Sweetwater's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And going back to Greg's, we were talking about Greg's earlier.
Yes.
I just want to say that Greg's, when I think I was only a teenager, they financed me for my first guitar. Yeah. And so I'm very I do go to Guitar Center, but I like to support the local guy. You know what I mean? They supported me when I was a kid. So strings, everything else, go to Greg's Music, check it out. Awesome people that work there too.
Tell us about the guitar story though at Greg's. Is there any story with that when you went to there for a guitar, you said?
I think I bought a 12 string. I started out on a 12 string actually.
You did.
I did, and
Do tell.
Everything on that 18-year-old CD that I sang really weird is on a 12 string.
Is it?
And you write different songs on a 12 string. You know what I mean? You write different.
It's like harmonizing with you.
It's I never play those songs, and as soon as I pick up my 12 string, I start playing those songs again.
Because it sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool. You know what I mean?
So what was the brand of the 12 string?
It was a Yamaha.
It was Yamaha?
Yeah.
Yep.
It sucks.
Nice.
But the thing about a 12 string is it's never actually in tune. You know what I mean?
Oh, it never is, yeah.
It might be a little bit in tune. I mean,
yeah.
It's almost there, but never completely. So,
there's 12 strings. It's double the amount you got to worry about.
Right.
Now, I do have an 8 string over there. I don't know if you noticed that earlier.
I don't even know how you would play an 8 string. I'm looking over here. I see the. I'm I don't know what's going on over there.
if you think a 5-string neck is out of control, I mean that 8-string is
Yeah,
is
and
fun.
that's a guitar. Is
It's a
it like a
guitar,
bass
yeah.
on the bottom or something? Or?
No, it's like so think of an extended range, like a 7-string. You're adding a B string on top of an E, right? B E then instead of just E A or B E A then, and then you're adding yet another lower portion. And I want to say octave, and I could be wrong, and you can curse me out in the comments if you want to, but nobody's going to be commenting on that probably.
Do they make an acoustic 8-string?
They do not. No, they make correction. They make a 8-string baritone acoustic. Taylor does. So what they do,
Really?
the top 2 of the 6 strings, the main strings, are no. The top string is by itself.
Now, when you say top, people think of
6
this
strings,
differently.
6 strings.
Some
So-
people think is the top is up here, but I
Correct.
look at the guitar as like if I'm reading a book.
yeah.
Like the high string is the top.
So you're right,
Is
and
that
that's
what you're
my
talking
fault.
about?
Nope, I'm glad he called me out on that because it is totally fair. Okay, so and I never, he should know this. So technically, education time here on Ed Madison podcast, project number 23 with my good friend Jordan Danielsen, is that your 6th string actually is at the top. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Correct me if I'm wrong. Right.
That's true.
So your high E string, right? Maybe I should refer to low and high. But on a baritone, though, it's not E. It's going to be B. B to B is what it's going to be. And then the middle strings will have additional strings like a 12 string, right? So is it B to B? B to E. No, B to B. It'd be B to B if it's in standard baritone. That's what it would be. Fact check me on that one, kids.
That would be cool to get a baritone guitar. You know,
Tell me.
it would be
you
really
get
neat
one?
if Breedlove would actually make one of those and send me one of those for a third of the price.
Half the price? Third of the price. Third of the price.
I'm pushing it.
You know, I'm curious now too. I'm going to check to see if this is working again because it was not earlier. And let's see if we can get some results now. She's struggling. I think it's because I noticed that my significant other is Huluing in the bedroom Chromecast, and I wonder if that's affecting my oh, well, there you go. That'll work too. Okay, so oh shoot,
Uh-oh.
drunk move.
Sure glad that wasn't me.
Yes, we'll go ahead and get rid of that for a second there. Well, the good news is yes. No, we're not going to pause. Do me a favor. I want you to talk just for a moment while I get a paper towel.
Okay.
Take it away.
This is the most awkward part of the show when I need to take over the show. All right. Well, anyways, I have to say that before I watched this thing, I was like, what does Ed talk about for 2 hours? Because I saw that all of his videos were 2 hours long. I can see why they are 2 hours long now. I think that we've been here quite a while, and it's gone pretty easy.
Yeah, it has been, hasn't
Yeah.
it? And this is the second time I've drunk spilled on a podcast.
I'm just
Only.
glad. I expected it to be me, to be honest. And I hope that you put that in slow motion when you do that in the video. You need to edit this out. And,
Outtakes video.
Yep.
Outtakes video.
No, just during the middle of it, you need to just slow it down. Notice I still have my drink. It's all good. All right. So it's beautiful out here in Durant, Iowa. By the way, I've never been out here before, but it was the perfect time of night. The sun was in the right place, and Iowa's really a beautiful place when you stop and enjoy it. Definitely.
Sorry.
All right, we got our
Housekeeping?
coasters.
Housekeeping. All right. So now that I've figured that out and made a fool of myself, you did a good job, by the way. Are you going to start hosting your own podcast? Tell them about that.
Yeah, I'm supposedly going to host my own podcast, and we'll see how that goes. My podcast is what it's called. That might be the Suntory whiskey talking there, the Toki. All right.
How's it going, everybody? I'm back. What'd I miss out on?
Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing. So what I was really curious about, I was just wanting to show like a picture is what I really wanted to show and kind of present that Taylor, right? It's hard to describe exactly what it is until I pull it up. And you'll probably make better sense of it after I show it to you. Dun, 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 dun.
So how do you feel about the Taylor expression system, like the sound system in it?
Mine has the Expression 2 in it.
Mm-hmm.
So the second gen one, my 414 that I gig with for years ahead, the first one,
Mm-hmm.
I think I can tell a difference, but then that could be the new bracing that's inside the guitar too.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom line is with the 3 different positions of the microphones,
Mm-hmm.
including, I feel like it's past the bridge, there's one. Up top, there's one. That's for percussive, right? So when
Mhm.
you're percussively doing your whatever it is you're doing, and then one's underneath the sound hole there, right? If I remember correctly, there's 3 different microphones though.
Well, there's a chance I wasn't using it right. I did buy myself a $3,000 Taylor one time, and this is probably
yeah.
the Expression System 1.
The first gen,
But I'm a very percussive player, and when I brought it home and I tried to play it, it was just, you just couldn't hear any of that, you know what I mean? And I really loved the Taylors back when they had the Fishman in it, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, before they did their own thing.
And so that's really kind of where I bridged off from the Taylors. And
Gotcha.
I actually want to shout out to Fishman Prefix, like, is the most amazing preamp that there is that I've found.
What else are they in? Are they in another? Is it all the Breedlove
Well,
stuff?
what I have in the Breedlove, they don't have it in there. I put that in myself. And I'm going to actually put that in everything that I have. That notch is so useful when playing. Like, you get that low end that you can't get rid of.
In the electronics, you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They've started really putting that in a lot of the higher end acoustics where it's in the sound hole. And when they do that, you get that low ooh, and then you can't get rid of it if you don't have that notch.
That feedback, yeah.
And that feedback is really coming, if I could put in a sound hole, like a feedback buster, it would help. But you can't put in feedback busters with something that's in the sound hole.
Yeah.
So you're stuck with this, and you have no way to get rid of it.
So I have
that's-
to use a pedal instead. So when I'm
Okay.
playing live, and I do have 2 pedal boards that I have a pedal board. This is my big electric guitar pedal board. In the closet, I have an acoustic one, an LR Bags Venue that has the notch. That's how
Mhm.
I remove.
Yep.
But the thing is, though, I wonder if that first gen system really was the issue, because on this second gen system, I don't have to use that LR bag system. I
Really?
just direct box into the channel, and I don't have any issues. But I don't know if the mixer, which is a QSC touch mix digital mixer, that cleans up a lot of that too, where it doesn't have that feedback. But I know exactly what you're talking about because I've had that issue before.
Like, I just bought a new Gibson. I didn't buy a new Gibson. It's Breedlove, just so you know. But I did. But it's mostly my studio guitar.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because it has that problem. Like, I have that low end, and it doesn't have that notch in it, and it has the inside hole buster.
So do you just basically mic that up instead of direct or plugging it in?
I'm probably gonna cut a hole in it and put a prefix in it.
Are
is
you
what I'm
really?
gonna do.
That's awesome.
I don't care. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I hear you. But here is the 8-string I was trying to explain to you. So it looks like the low E, high E, or I guess I know it'd be B then, right? Technically, because it's a baritone. The low 2 and the high 2, which are opposite, I guess, like Jordan was trying to explain earlier, right? So I think, it's like high is down here. It's the middle 2 that have an additional 2. So that's what makes the 8. So it gives it more chime and like a little bit of low and high chime and sparkle in there with doubling up those strings.
So, but it's the chords are still the same. Like, you play a G
Yes.
string,
Yep.
but it's just tuned lower.
Yes, B to B in this case. Yep. So is what it is. So I have a baritone electric guitar over there. The 8-string, one to the right. So the 8-string is the natural neck or the 3-piece neck. The one to the right of it, the all black neck, that's my baritone electric guitar. So I use that for a lot of that new metal kind of like Breaking Benjamin, Chevelle, if you've ever heard of those bands before. Okay.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. So
So,
that's
so when you play a G string, you're actually playing what?
G chord or G string.
Like a G chord. G chord.
So then it would be, so, so if we think of that,
So we're playing a D. When you're playing in G, you're playing in D.
right? Because it's going to be, is it?
Thanks, Ed. Thanks. Now, see, this is what. See, this is what's going to happen now. Is now I have to go buy myself one of these because being a harmonica player.
Yes.
See now,
Yes.
this opens up a whole new,
Yes.
like, harmonica world.
I love it.
What I mean?
Keep going.
See now, he just cost me $1,000, $2,000. So,
But
thanks.
that pricing though, Breedlove, you out there?
Does Breedlove have one of these?
That's what I'm.
I don't think they do.
That's what I'm looking up. That's what I'm looking up. We up here on the screen? We are, right? So, I don't know if they do. They may not, because I'm not seeing anything that pops out.
Go figure.
You know what? Breedlove, signature model, my man, right here.
The Jordan Danielsen model.
The Jordan
There you
Danielsen
go.
model.
Yep.
You know, if you guys get together, emails, make it happen.
Yep.
It doesn't have to be an
Yeah,
8
do it.
string. It could be a 6 string.
See, then I'd play a G harmonica as the cross harp, and it would be. I love the G harmonica, so this would be beautiful.
It'd be
It would
awesome,
It
wouldn't
would
it?
be cool.
I think you guys can make that happen. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just saying. I'm just behind it 100% at this point. So if there's somebody I need to email, just let me know.
All right.
Be like, I had him on my podcast. I've got 270 subscribers. It's it's gonna blow up
All
It's-
over Durant, Iowa.
The farmers, they're listening to it in their tractors right now. It's really the next big thing because I don't know. I feel like what's really nice about your original music. It doesn't matter if you like metal or country, like you brought up earlier. The country people come up and say, "Oh, you put that country kind of twist on whatever it is." I think it's definitely appeasing to a broad range of individuals.
I hope so.
Do you get that?
Yeah, I don't think it's like. I don't think anybody was offended by it. You know what I mean? Like when you're straight out country, you're gonna be offending the fuckers like us that hate country.
Yeah, like me.
You know
Like
what I
I
mean?
fucking hate that, right? And it's
And if you're straight out metal, you're gonna be offending the people that just hate metal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, so. I mean, I've had people tell me it's a little bit more country than I listen to, and I'm like, I'm not a country artist, but whatever. You know what I mean?
I love how you put that though. And you're just like, what? He's being nice to me. I just gotta deal with
It's
it.
okay.
Right?
You know what I mean? Whatever. At least you like me and you showed up at the show. Okay, that's cool.
And he was nice. He liked you enough, no matter what the reason. He came
Right.
up. One of my most favorite moments, and I've shared this before, is that if you're playing and you enjoy what you're doing, and then somebody else randomly comes up and appreciates what you do, I think that's like one of the best things, right? It's just somebody saying, "Oh, that was so cool. I'd never either heard that like that, or whatever the situation was." I think if you can reach out and really, make somebody's night,
Right.
that's pretty cool.
And most of these people that are saying, "I love the way you countryfied that," they love country music. So for them to tell me that, they're giving me a huge compliment.
That is a huge compliment. Yeah,
it's
because that's what they like, right? Or that's
Yeah.
what they're into. Now,
Yeah.
I feel like if they like your country,
Right.
they're probably not listening to pop country, right?
I think that's what everybody listens to. I mean, everybody loves Johnny Cash too, and like,
Is that country?
I hate to diss Johnny Cash, but like, I've never.
Let's
been a
be
Johnny,
real.
I've never been a Johnny Cash fan.
I really haven't either.
But everybody in the world loves Johnny Cash. They do. Like if you ask me, like, what's the most requested? Johnny Cash. Play some Johnny Cash. You know what I mean? It's like,
I have a
doom,
question.
doom, doom, doom. But
Oh my
what? That's
God.
that's fine. You know what I mean? People love it, and I like to make people happy with music. You know what I mean? That's just the thing. I actually played at Kindercare this morning.
Did you really?
I did. Yeah. And it's at 9:30 in the morning. Like this is what I do. I mean, I'm like I told you, I'm a musical whore.
You are. I mean, that's an impressive level of musical horror right there. Kindercare. I haven't heard that in a long time. A long time. Yeah.
But to play for these little kids, it's fun, man. It's you go from room to room to room, and the first one is like babies, like.
Oh yeah.
And
Yep, sure.
it's really fun to make a move. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah. Yep.
and I'm watching and I'm playing songs. I'm like, what makes a move different? You know what I mean? I play a soft song. I play it in 3/4. I'll play a country song. I'll try to give it a funk beat, and like
So you just
they start moving. You know what I mean? And it's really enjoyable.
That's cool.
And then I'll go to like some rooms, and they're just like, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, okay, like this is interesting. Like just the different. And then I go to the other ones. I have them all dancing, and it's that way with every crowd. You know what I mean? It's just like sometimes it's like there's nothing I can do to get these people to be fun. You know what I mean?
I've dealt with that before too.
And then there's other ones. It's like there's nothing I could do to not make these people fun.
It's funny how that works, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
So what is your go-to fun song? Do you do any songs like I've done Scooby-Doo theme song, I've done SpongeBob SquarePants theme song to adults, right? Not kindercare. Right. So do you have any like songs like that's your random surprise? You have a little of this and see how you take it. You ever done anything like that?
Oh, I think, I did more than one song over and over again this morning. I did some Jack Johnson, some like banana pancakes.
Yeah.
And I have to, keep things G-rated too, you know what I mean?
Of course, yeah.
And Country Road, that's another song that like everybody loves.
Yeah.
Like I did this John Deere gig one time, and like me and Jeff walked in, and they were all like interns, and they were all 22 years old.
Sure, yeah.
And I looked at Jeff, and I'm like, all hits, early stuff. And everybody that came up requested like American Pie, like Country Roads, Johnny Cash. And I looked at him and I'm like, this is not what I expected.
A bunch of hipsters.
Yeah, it's just like, but when I was in high school, like what we were listening to is the Doors. And this is like 1993, you know what I mean? Like we all walked around with the Doors, Led Zeppelin, the 60s.
Sure.
Like if you think about it, like right now, the 90s is today's kids' 60s.
That's what
you know what I mean?
It is, yeah.
They look back, they're like, oh, Nirvana.
How weird is that?
You know what I mean? Like Rage Against the Machine.
Makes me feel old.
Yeah.
It does. It makes me feel old.
But it also makes me realize how, like the 60s weren't that far back when I was the 90s. You know what I mean? It's like I was like, oh man, the 60s and 70s. But I was born in 79.
It is the same way, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's like
90s
their 60s is our 90s. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
That makes me feel old.
I feel like I'm glad that I'm old, though.
Yeah?
I feel like I'm glad I lived through the 90s.
Yeah.
I'm glad I lived through a time when there wasn't cell phones.
We did.
Like when I was 19, me and my buddy Jim Chester, we decided we were going to go to Woodstock '99.
You did?
We did. We went,
what?
and I was working at the Garden Center at Hy-Vee at the time.
Yeah.
And I saw the ad in Rolling Stone, and he showed up at that time, and he walks up, and I'm like, dude, look at this. We're going to this. You know what I mean? That was my first road trip, and I've taken so many road trips, but that was my first road trip experience.
Where was 99 at?
That was in Rome, New York. And I feel like I can tell you guys this whole story. I've written this whole story.
Tell it.
Maybe some of it. I might leave out some of this.
I mean, for the kids, leave out some of it, right? Yeah.
But me and my, we bought this Mazda Protege, which was, he bought it for like $400. It was a stick shift. I didn't know how to drive it.
First gen Protege?
Yeah,
like the little rounded, tiny.
Yeah, it was pretty tiny, and it was like, we called it tritone because it had like a different hood on it. It was different colors and stuff, and I didn't know how to drive a stick. We took off, and we finally made it to Woodstock after like 3 days driving through the mountains, the Appalachian Mountains. We drove all night long.
Did you hear any dulcimers when you were out there?
We did not.
Okay,
no.
Keep going. Sorry.
But we finally got to Woodstock '99. I don't know if you guys remember that, but it was amazing. Rage Against the Machine.
YouTube. It's on YouTube.
Yep. Chili Peppers. I saw Metallica there. Red Hot. G-Love and Special Sauce.
Oh yeah. And then you
Robbie
later,
Krieger
opened up for him.
Yep, I did.
For them. Yep.
Yep.
And then Robbie
Krieger from the Doors.
Oh yeah.
He was playing with Creed actually, but I lost Jim like the first day. And then we were supposed to meet back at the car on the way back. And by the time we got back, I realized that now what was like a small amount of cars is now 200,000 cars. And where is our car at? Never found him that day.
Dude,
like,
where's my car?
Some guy let me stand on top of his RV, and like I'm like looking out, and I finally like, okay, I think that's it. You know, and I found it. But just the whole thing is like we lost each other for days. Like
Jeez.
right now we'd be like, hey, Jim Chester, you know,
Get on your phone, text,
yeah,
call.
meet me
right?
here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But back then you couldn't do that, and it's just like, it sounds like an inconvenience, but I think it makes you better. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm just glad I lived in that era. You know what I mean?
I understand.
Glad
what
I
you're getting
lived
at,
through
yeah.
the '80s too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Kids these days, though, I'm sure your son's kind of like mine. My kids, I'm sure they got all this technology around them. They can't appreciate it.
mm-hmm.
So this is their struggle. What's it going to be like another 10, 15 years from now? 20 years from now?
I mean, you know what? We're saying this, but like this is the same thing our parents were saying. So
Yeah, it was.
it doesn't matter. Like they're gonna have their own '60s. They're gonna have their own '90s.
So what
It's
happened?
gonna be.
If you think about it, though, think about it on like a music level with me really quick. So, okay, we know where we came from.
Mm-hmm.
What's the next generation going to be like? And what are we going to be looking at going forward 20 years from now? What is your prediction?
I think that it's all gonna come back around. I mean, if you listen to like One Direction, for instance, with your kids, did they ever like One Direction?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yep.
They're a boy band. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
And I think they're
But
done
when
now,
you
right? It's not a thing anymore.
Yeah.
Okay,
But
go
when
on.
you compare like One Direction with like the Backstreet Boys, with like NSYNC and all this stuff, like you listen to them and you hear like the Police, you hear like Queen,
The inspiration.
you hear like all these different like songwriting, and you're like, things are, you know, this stuff comes back around. Like the influence is still there, and I think that One Direction had some great, even everybody that came off of them.
Even
Or
if they
great
didn't write their
songwriter.
music. Even if they didn't write their music.
They
Let's be
did write
honest.
their own music.
One
though.
Direction
They
did?
They did.
Get out.
Yeah. So it's really, I'm impressed by the stuff that he's listening to, and my son's listening to, and it's like, you can still appreciate new music.
If they wrote it, respect. I'm not going to
Yeah.
lie, though, and my girlfriend hates me for this probably, but whenever a new song is like brought up to my attention, the first thing I do is see how many writers were on that song.
Yeah.
Because like,
But if you've ever been in one of those rooms with those guys writing, like they're real writers. I mean, this is the same thing that was happening back in the 40s.
not all the time. So a lot of music, and this is me being uppity now for a second. So a lot of the bands that are in this room, I mean like all this music, you know, and a lot of the stuff that I had listened to, you know, in that early 2000s, a lot of it, nobody wrote music for anybody. It was all them.
It was.
It was like you writing music for yourself, right? You don't have writers coming in and writing your music, right?
No.
I mean, Jeff.
The
maybe-
90s was a different time. You know what I mean?
But
That
Jeff,
was-
like Spradley, though. Jeff Spradley, am I saying that right?
Yeah.
So I like you mentioned, and this will be one of the videos too, where he's singing and playing a solo. You're like, you know, the inspiration is these, you know, the trips and stuff like that. You were saying, correct me if I'm wrong, right? The last one, the fun one about, I mean, they were all fun, but the one we were talking Galena and the song, and
Yep.
you know, that was involving. Did you say that was from like you being a musician and these
Yeah,
trips?
it's just basically like just what we lived through. You know what I mean? Like one more hour to get home. It's 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah, but you wrote
know?
that though, maybe with a little inspiration from Jeff, or maybe I don't know if Jeff helps on any of the writing or anything like that. But this is you though, right?
It is. You know, me and Jeff have written maybe 2 songs together, but we haven't done anything with them. You know, I've written more stuff with the guy that I met at the junior high lunch table. Actually, he's a good friend of mine, Dana Moss Peterson, and he's an actor, writer too. And he would come over, and it's nice to write with other people sometimes. You know what I mean? It's nice to bounce stuff off people. Sometimes I've written songs that I pretty much ended up being me. They didn't really incorporate, but it was just them being there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they would say something. I'm like, oh, that's great, but this is better. But if it wasn't for what they said, I wouldn't have got my idea. You know what I mean?
It's true. Yeah.
So
I
it's
hear
like, there's a couple songs. Father Water, he wrote with me.
I've heard you perform that before.
Yeah, he wrote that with me. He wrote the In Between with me. We did this.
Which
He was
spoiler
part of
alert?
this.
Can we
Yep.
say
Yep, go ahead.
one of the songs he played tonight?
Yep, he was co-writer of that. Southbound in the Springtime, that was on my last album.
Mm-hmm.
He co-wrote that too. So it's to sit in a room with somebody and write with somebody. It really does. it is nice and helpful.
That is nice, but what I'm getting to is a lot of these newer songs, if you look it up, they got like fucking 5 different people, 7 different people on one
even
track.
Aerosmith did that too. I mean, Aerosmith,
They did on all their stuff?
No, I wouldn't say all of their stuff, but I did see a documentary of like Steven Tyler and they all got in a room.
Was it later on, though?
This was in the 90s.
So later on. I mean, Aerosmith started, what, late 60s?
They did, but I mean, really, I bet you that they still had
Wait a minute.
songwriters.
Is this Armageddon? Are we talking Armageddon?
I'm telling you.
I don't want to miss a thing.
Have you seen this new show that it's like the songwriters show? It's like
No.
it's on Hulu. I see.
Yeah, we got Hulu. Lay it on me.
But we've got American Idol and we've got
Don't watch that.
The Voice.
Don't watch that. My girlfriend does.
These are kids bop for adults. That's kind of the
Is
way.
that what it is?
I can't tell you how many people come. You need to go on American Idol, and I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I don't.
For real. The Voice.
I just feel like you shouldn't make it famous on a game show.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, this isn't a new thing. I mean,
Yeah.
we've got this thing went back from all the way back. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like these shows. You know what I mean? I can't give you an example right now because I'm trying to blank. But like,
Yeah.
like the Ted Kavett show or the what was that? You know what I mean? Like all this stuff. The Beatles went on one of these shows. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you know, this is just how it all comes out. But this new one, it's like they're songwriters and they pitch their ideas to like.
And it's on Hulu.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm like, I could maybe do this. This is cool. But when you write a song, you have to be like, when you're doing one of these things, you really have to be open to criticism. You know what I mean?
You have to, yeah.
And that's hard as a songwriter because you have your vision and then somebody else hears it. Well, that's nice, but you should do it this way instead. So I don't feel like you should be judged as a musician. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's from you.
Yeah.
And it's like if you want to redo it in your own style, that's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Either way, respect the people that write their own music that don't require more than at least a couple of people to put together a nice, good song. And give credits due to people too. People that write songs for musicians, but it was just one person that wrote it. Like, what's the lady from Fleetwood Mac that's wrote 1 million songs? The lady, I feel like she's wrote countless songs for new pop musicians, but it was just her. It wasn't like it was 10 people in the writing room, right? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Well, you see, this is a good example of it doesn't matter if you're famous or if you're just that person that I met the other day. I'm not going to remember your name.
I'm going to look this up, and it'll blow your mind, though. Fleetwood Mac.
Hey, I tell you what. You look that up, and I'll be right back.
Okay, sounds good. Because I think you're going to appreciate this. I mean, you know Fleetwood Mac, right?
Yeah.
You know Fleetwood Mac. Who doesn't know Fleetwood Mac? Well, I got bad news. My keyboard is fried. It is a hot mess right now. So, I'm going to need like some... probably going to need... Let's see if we can get this to go. Ooh, Nelly. I'm going to get this. So what happens is, everybody, make sure if you're drinking not to spill your scotch or your Japanese whiskey onto your keyboard. So, lessons learned, may we say. Not Fleetwood Macs. Stevie Nicks? Not Stevie Nicks. Stevie Nicks is dead, probably, right? She die? She may have died. I don't know. This is an awkward moment here on the podcast, so just stay with us really quick, and we're going to sort this out. I promise you. We're going to get it sorted out. Adjust the camera there. All right. So... legendary female writer. Legendary female writer. Interesting. My keyboard is destroyed. legendary female writer. So I got some bad news. So I've got some bad news as we get ready to wrap this up. My keyboard, it's toast. The Japanese whiskey, it kamikazed. And that's I shouldn't say it like that. Is that bad to say it like that?
I don't know.
My Japanese whiskey kamikazed my keyboard. So
That's a nice keyboard too.
that's okay. I've had it for a while. I've got another one. Maybe if I put it in rice or something.
I'm sure glad it wasn't me.
No, it was my drunk ass. You're
I know,
okay.
so.
Second bad news is that it wasn't Fleetwood Mac. I feel like maybe Four Non-Blondes writer. I guess what I'm doing right now is just trying to verify or solidify somebody that's really made a huge difference in writing.
Mm-hmm.
There was one other one too. It was actually the dude from Semisonic.
Okay.
They did the Closing Time song.
Mm-hmm.
Closing Time. I don't know if you remember that one or not.
I do. Yeah.
Apparently that singer's wrote for like tons of number one hits too.
I really don't see anything wrong with having songwriters, to be honest. I mean,
I get it.
I feel like it's just been a thing that's happened since the beginning. You know what I mean? Since the standards. Like none of these people wrote their own. Like the writers of these songs were. I want to be one of those guys.
Yeah, I want you to.
Yeah,
you know
I'd
what?
love to be one of those guys.
Country musicians. You may not like them. Jordan may not like them. I don't like them. But you know what? If you can write for them,
I will take the money. I will.
he'll take the money, and you know what? He'll do a damn good job at it. I think at this point, because my keyboard shot, and we've had some pretty good talks here, right?
I think so.
You do me a favor, you can come back again sometime.
I will. Yeah, that'll be good.
So Jordan Danielsen, we've jumped back and forth between a lot of topics at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you'd like to leave this podcast off with tonight?
I don't think so.
Nothing
I
at all?
don't think so.
Man, it's been great having him on.
Yeah.
Do me a favor. You can catch him, roll out the red carpet for yourself again, let them know what's going on in your life in the next month.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, actually, check out my stuff on Apple Music, on Spotify, Jordan Danielsen with an S-E-N, not an S-O-N. You won't find it. I'm going to be up in Upper Michigan, in Iron River, Michigan, on the 19th, I believe. Rhinelander, Wisconsin on the 20th. And I'm going to be in Eau Claire on the 22nd.
Cambridge or Eau Claire?
Cambridge. You know what? These might not be right. Come to JordanDanielsonMusic.com. I really have no concept of time. I really don't know.
It's okay.
I know where I'm going to be tomorrow. So
if it's okay with you, I'll share all the socials and stuff in the description down below.
Sounds good.
Thanks, man, for coming out. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, on that, give a send off. Jordan.
Have a good night, guys. Thank you so much.
Take care. All right.
Yeah.